Mickey here from Little Acre Mushrooms, and I'm here to go through our mushroom grow blocks. These are our big mushroom grow blocks and they have big potential to grow heaps of mushrooms. Stick around to learn how to get the most out of your blocks. Our mushroom grow blocks are a little bit different than our mushroom kits. If you've got a kit, you'll want to watch this video here. These mushroom grow blocks come pre-inoculated, so they're ready to go. But if you're not ready to go, you can store them in the fridge, but you may get some premature pinning that occurs in the fridge. We recommend to get them going right away, so let's get started. Oh, and one more thing. Before we open these blocks, we want to know where we're going to be growing these mushrooms. Mushrooms prefer a cool, high humidity environment, and it's easy to achieve this at home if you've got some sort of setup which can control the parameters. This could be a shotgun fruiting chamber or a grow tent. So if you haven't got that set up already, set that up now. Also, be sure to check out the growing parameters of your block on the sticker, plus also additional information on our website. We also have a video tutorial on how to set up your own shotgun fruiting chamber, and we'll have that in the description below. There's two typical ways on how to open your grow blocks and fruit your mushrooms, and the method that you choose is based upon the species that you're going to be fruiting. There's also a special method for shiitake that we'll get to later in the video. The first method is called side fruiting, and this works best for mushrooms that like to grow in clusters, just like these oyster mushrooms. But it also works well for species like chestnut and lion's mane that need a little bit of extra protection from drying out. The term side fruiting doesn't mean that our block has to be orientated sideways. It's simply referring to the area where we're going to be cutting and where the mushrooms are going to be growing from. The second method is called top fruiting, and this works well for species that like to grow long stems in high CO2 environments. It works well for varieties such as king oyster, pia pino, golden gnocchi, and also reishi. It's called top fruiting because the mushroom pins are going to be forming from the top of the block. Before we get started, make sure you have a sharp, clean knife or cutting tool. Now, if you're going to be opening up blocks from different species at the same time, it's best practice to be cleaning your blade between the different blocks. This can be done by spraying the knife down with isopropyl alcohol and cleaning it, but if you don't have isopropyl alcohol, just washing your knife under hot soapy water will be completely fine. For this Phoenix oyster block, we're going to cut an X. So what you want to do is you've got your block orientated like this with your sticker, flip it over, and you'll have a nice side panel here that we can start cutting from. So with a nice clean knife, what we want to do is cut an X on this panel. And you want to make the X a couple of inches long. And here, this is where the mushrooms we're going to be fruiting from. For species such as this chestnut block, we're going to be using the side slash method. So again, with your block, with the sticker orientated like this, just simply flip the block over and you'll have a nice panel here to be doing your side fruiting from. So using another nice clean knife, we're going to be doing a slash across the entire surface of the block. Remember when you're cutting into the block that you don't want to be cutting deeply into the substrate, just simply slashing across the top and allowing that air exposed, then this is where the mushrooms are going to be pinning from. So for this king oyster block, we're going to be demonstrating top fruiting. So what you want to be doing is unfurling the top of the bag. The best way to do this is to peel that sticker down and you'll see that it's been taped, and with a knife, simply cut some of the tape so that you release the top of the bag. And then you'll have unfurled the top. Now we want to be letting some oxygen in here to start triggering the fruiting process. So with the clean knife and just above the filter patch, just put a slash in the top, and that's going to allow you to fill up the bag with some fresh air like this, and this will start encouraging pins. Now, for species such as king oyster, we have another additional trick to try and get these guys to fruit well. And that is scratching the surface of the block and disturbing it. By disturbing the mycelium, it's going to allow more pin sets to occur for this king oyster. So to do this, it's best practice to do it just through the plastic. With your hand, just like this, and rough up the surface. Now, it may seem unnatural to be roughing up and disturbing the mycelium like this, that you're damaging it, but this is a trick to try and encourage those pin sets to form. This may take several days or a week to start seeing small baby king oysters starting to form, but this is a great trick to try and get that happening. Once the mushroom pins are about 2 to 3 centimeters in height, you can then cut the entire top of the bag off, but leaving a collar around it, and that will allow the humidity and CO2 to well up in the center to form those pin sets. Now that you've opened up your blocks, you need to remember to maintain that high humidity. So in a shotgun fruiting chamber or a grow tent, you want to keep that going, so you can be misting your blocks around just like the cut surface, just like this, and that'll help develop the pin set. In the top fruiting bags like this, the king oysters, etc., where you've got that slit open, you don't need to be directly misting it because this is sort of acting as a bit of a humidity chamber. But once you cut that off and you've got that collar wrapped around, you've got to keep maintaining the humidity using a spray bottle or a humidifier or using a shotgun fruiting chamber. Let's talk about shiitake. Shiitake are relatively easy to grow, but they do have a special process compared to other mushroom grow blocks, and they look different too. The mushroom grow block that you receive will be brown and not white like other species. And that's because shiitake go through a special ripening process. They do start out white, but over time the mycelium turns brown and forms a crust. This takes 10 to 12 weeks, but we've done this process for you. The shiitake block that you receive will be ready to go. To fruit mushrooms, there needs to be a change in environmental conditions. The three main ones are a drop in temperature, an increase in humidity, and also a change in oxygen and light. Now, you might have heard that slapping a shiitake block can help initiate the fruiting process. This is because shiitakes are sensitive to vibrations. Now, the shiitake block that you received has been traveling through the post and has well and truly had enough vibrations to initiate pinning. You may have already started to see little baby mushrooms starting to pin from the surface. This is a great sign, and your shiitake block is ready to go. No slapping required. Shiitake likes to grow from all sides of the block. As you can see from these blocks here, we have shiitake forming all over, and that's going to require us to take the bag completely off the block. So go ahead and take the plastic bag off your block now. This is the first trigger, exposure to oxygen. Next, we want to rinse the block under cold water. Rinsing the block will hydrate it and create more humidity around the block, which helps initiate pinning and is the second trigger for fruiting. Shiitake need consistently high humidity to start their growth cycle, around 90% relative humidity. We recommend using a humidity tent, or if you have one, a shotgun fruiting chamber or a grow tent. If you don't use something to keep the humidity trapped around the shiitake block, you risk the block drying out, and this will be detrimental to forming pins on the outside of your block. To make things easy, we've included a humidity tent with your shiitake block, and we'll show you how to use that now. Now that we've rinsed our shiitake block under cold water, we recommend putting it on a plate, and then using our humidity tent, we will put this inside. Unfurl your humidity tent. And then all we need to do is put that inside like so. And this is going to allow us to trap the humidity inside. Tie the top up, and using a rubber band, that'll just keep it secured. Now this setup here is allowing us to keep the humidity around the shiitake block, which is going to initiate the pinning. You can see that some of the pins have already started to emerge, which is a great sign, but this will allow us to create that 90% relative humidity. Without something like this, it's very detrimental to the block and it will dry out very easily because we've removed the plastic completely. Once you've set up your shiitake block, you'll want to find somewhere relatively cool to place it, around 10 to 24 degrees. If it's much warmer than this, your shiitake block can struggle to form a pin set. Once your shiitake block has started to pin, you'll want to create some more oxygen and let some more fresh air in there to allow the mushrooms to grow bigger. Mushrooms produce carbon dioxide as they grow, but they don't like to be sitting in their own carbon dioxide. So it's essential that we try and get some fresh air into this bag. So what we recommend is to just cut some slits into the bag which will just allow fresh air to enter the bag around the block. So you just want around half a dozen holes or so around the block so that you're allowing that fresh air to come in. And this will stimulate the mushrooms and allow them to expand and grow a lot larger. You'll still want to keep the humidity tent on the block at this stage because, again, we don't want to allow those mushrooms to dry out. If we did take the bag completely off, that's a really big risk and we want to avoid that. So I recommend keep the humidity tent on the block, cut some of these holes, allowing the fresh air to come in. And you want to make sure that the humidity remains high now that there's holes in the bag. Just give it a mist through the holes and that will maintain that 90% humidity. After several more days, your shiitakes will start to look like this. You can simply remove the bag and these are now ready to harvest. So now you know how to get the most out of your grow blocks. If you want to be growing mushrooms just like this every single month, we've got our big block box subscription, which you'll find in the link below. We also have written information and also the tutorial on how to build your own shotgun fruiting chamber. If you like this video and want to learn more about how to grow mushrooms, subscribe to our channel and happy growing.